Assalamu alaikum. We are starting the new chapter of Physics 1, that is scalars and vectors. Let us start. As we know that we have defined the quantities, either physical and other one are natural quantities. Physical quantities are those quantities which can be measured by a suitable unit, that is known as physical quantities, and other one natural quantities which cannot be measured through any physical unit, that is called natural quantities. So physical quantities are divided into branches also. So there may be fundamental quantities and other one may be derived quantities, and after that we are dealing with the one is directional quantities and other one non-directional quantities. Means one type of physical quantities are those quantities which has completely defined from the magnitude and direction, and those are the other physical quantities which are only completely defined from the magnitude. So those quantities which are completely defined from only the magnitude, these quantities are known as scalars, and those quantities which have incompletely meaning without direction, those quantities are known as vector quantities. So physical quantities having two types. One is scalars and other ones are vectors. Okay, so what are scalars? Scalars are those quantities which are completely defined from magnitude only. Which is completely defined from the magnitude, those quantities are named as scalars. Okay. What is magnitude? Magnitude is the number with suitable unit. Number with suitable unit is known as magnitude. Let's say 5 kilogram. It means 5 is a number and kilogram is a unit. So it will be mass. So mass is completely defined from the magnitude only. It does not need a direction. So that's why mass will be a scalar quantity. Or let's say 5 meter. So 5 meter will be length. It is a length. So this is the also a scalar because of it does not have needed the direction. So scalars are those quantities which do not have need of direction to define. These quantities are known as scalar quantities. Okay. Scalars, let's suppose example length, mass, time, temperature, heat, speed, energy, okay, entropy, potential energy, etc. These are the scalar quantities. Because of these quantities have not needed direction to define, so that's why these quantities are named as scalars. Okay, scalars, how scalars are represented? Scalars are represented by ordinary letters. Representation of scalars. Representation of scalars. Scalars are represented by ordinary letters. Ordinary letters. Let's say A, B, C, P, Q, X, Y, Z. So scalars are represented by the ordinary letters. Okay. Scalars can be added, subtracted, multiplied and also divided, but by the simple arithmetic rules. So scalars can be added, scalars can be added, subtracted, multiplied and divided by simple arithmetic rules. Okay, through these methods we can add, subtract, multiply or divide the scalars. Okay, so these are the scalars and graphically represented through a length of an arrow. We can show the magnitude of any scalars. Because of these have not needed the directions, but I think this is not needed. Scalars only be compared when they have same physical units or same dimensions. The scalars can be compared only when they have same physical units. What is meaning of this? It means that mass is a scalar and its unit is kilogram. So, and other one is length. Length is a unit of meter. Temperature has a unit of Kelvin. So, mass cannot be compared with length, and length cannot be compared with temperature. Instead of that, these are the scalars, but we can compare only and only those quantities which they have same units or same dimensions. But when they have same units, only those scalars are compared. So mass can be compared with mass, length can be compared with length, and temperature can be compared with temperature. Mass cannot be compared with the length, or mass cannot be compared with speed. So speed is compared with the speed only. Mass is compared with the mass. So same physical quantities are only compared, not the other quantities, not the other scalars. Scalar quantities we can compare with the other ones. Okay, after that the vector quantities. What are vector quantities? Vector quantities, we say those quantities having magnitude having magnitude and particular direction. Having magnitude and particular direction, those quantities are named as vector quantities. So vector quantities has magnitude and also particular direction are whose description remained incomplete without the direction, that is known as vector quantities. We may say vector quantities are those quantities whose description remained incomplete without direction is known as vector quantities. We may say if a person is asked to move, let's say 2 meters, so it will be little bit confused in which direction he have to move. If we say okay, move 2 meters along the north, then it will be easier to understand it and it will or he will move easily. So this is incomplete description or incomplete information to move 2 meters or 4 meters or 2 foot say, okay, it is incomplete. Whenever we have to define any position or in a particular location, we must define the direction along with it. So it will be the complete. Let's say another one. If a car is moving with 5 km per hour, it is incomplete information okay, in which direction it is moving. If we are dealing with the vectors, then if we may say okay, a car is moving 5 km per hour towards east, then it will be complete information. So vectors are those quantities whose description completed by the direction. So these quantities are named as vector quantities, and without the direction their meaning or their description remained undefined, okay, are incomplete. So for the vector quantities, the description incomplete without direction, okay, incomplete remained incomplete without direction. So it has magnitude and particular direction. For suppose displacement, position, okay, velocity, acceleration, force, weight, momentum, etc. These are the vector quantities, and there are so many other also which are vector. Okay, so how we represent the vectors? Representation of vectors. Vectors are represented by the different methods. Let's say in handwriting, representation of vectors. We represent the vectors by putting arrow on head on any letter. If we put an arrow at the head of any letter, then it is studied as a vector. Let's say this is A A vector is studied. If we say A, then it will be not correct. So for the method of study it is A vector, and other one B vector, C vector, X vector, Y vector, and Z vector. Okay, or Z vector. If we remove this arrow, this will be simply Z, and this is the representation of scalars. But if we give an arrow, then it will be converted into vector, and we will say Z vector, Y vector, X vector, C vector, B vector, and A vector. What is the what this arrow shows? Let's say arrow has 2 points. Arrow, this is an arrow. Arrow has, this is initial point. Initial point of an arrow, and this is the tail of an arrow. This whole is tail. And this one is head. Head of an arrow. Head of an arrow shows the direction, and tail of an arrow shows magnitude. Tail of an arrow shows the magnitude, and head of an arrow shows the direction. So longer the tail of arrow, greater will be the magnitude. Smaller the length of an arrow or tail of an arrow, then smaller will be the, less will be the magnitude. But here we define that this is the arrow, and by giving it arrow, it means X is a vector. Okay, so this is one of the representations by putting arrow on head on any letter. Okay, second method is to represent the vectors is by bold letters. By bold letters. Let's say if we write a bold letters, then we will read either A vector. This is A vector. And if we bold an other letter, let's say this is B. So this we read either B vector. Okay. And let's say this is C. So it will read either C vector. This is a method to read, okay, to the vectors A vector, B vector, and C vector, or any other vector may be. So this will be the P vector. Other one will be either read either Q vector. So this will be Q vector. Okay. This is the method to read. Okay. Third method is graphical representation. Graphical representation. Graphically, we represent the vectors by an arrow. Arrow, let's say this is the XY plane. XY plane. If a body is moves along the x-axis, then we define with an arrow, or let's say if a body we say this is north, this is let's say east, this is west, and this is south. If a body is moving 5 kilometers towards northeast direction, then this is the origin. We start the vector, and this is the 5 kilometers in northeast direction. So this will be the graphical representation. In graphical representation, we show the or represent the graph. Or let's say if a body is moving 2 kilometers or let's say 5 meters towards the east, so this will be the representation 5 meters towards east. Okay. Other one, let's say if a body is moving 6 kilometers towards the west south, so this will be the representation west south. Okay. So this is how the vectors are represented. After that, vectors can be added, subtracted, multiplied, also divided, but by their own methods. The methods which are applied in vectors are of vector algebra. So vectors can be added, subtracted, multiplied and divided. Vectors can be added, subtracted, multiplied and divided by their own methods. We can't apply the simple arithmetic rules in addition or subtraction of vectors. So in vectors, the rules of vector algebra are used, such as geometrical method of vector addition or trigonometric method of vector addition. Okay. So these are the all about vectors. And one thing more, we say having particular direction. So particular direction means direction we call line along which any body moves. This is known as direction. If a body is moving along the east, so east will be its direction. If a body is moving along northeast direction, so northeast will be its direction. So line along which any body moves is called direction. One thing more, we have defined the vectors having magnitude and particular direction. Only two things we have defined, but is only two things, those quantities which possess only two things, are those vector quantities? Are these only specifications are for the vectors? Is the points which are declared here magnitude and particular direction, so any quantity have these 2 points, these two things, then it must be a vector or not. Let's say for being a vector quantity to any quantity, if any quantity is vector quantity, it must have 3 things. One is vector, one is magnitude, other direction, particular direction, and third one, this is one, this is second, and third one, it must obey law of vector addition. Basic law of vector addition. What is basic law of vector addition? That is parallelogram law of vector addition. So for being a vector quantity, these 3 conditions must be have for a quantity to be a vector. If let's say current, if we say about the current moves from positive to negative terminal of a battery. So from positive to negative terminal it has direction, but instead of that current is a scalar quantity, not a vector, but it has magnitude and direction also. But why it is scalar? Because of current does not obey the law of vector addition, so that's why it is a scalar quantity. So for being a vector, the quantities must obey or must possess 3 conditions. First, having magnitude, other one having particular direction, and third one it must obey the law of factor addition rule. If any quantity possesses these two quantities, these two conditions, obeys these two conditions, if third one is not obeyed, then it will be not considered as a vector. So for being a vector, these three conditions must be obeyed by any physical quantity. Okay, after that, let us discuss a few MCQs about the scalars and vectors. Let's say, which of the following are only scalars? Which of the following are only scalars? Let's say option A, potential energy, pressure, okay, let's say entropy, option D, we may say temperature, or let's say momentum, and option E, except D, all are scalars. Okay, so which of the following are only scalars? So potential energy is a scalar quantity, pressure is also a scalar, entropy is also a scalar, but momentum is a vector quantity. So momentum is a vector, while these are the scalars. So correct option will be except D. Except D, all are scalars. After that, let's say which of the following is a pair of only vectors. Let's say K, shearing stress, and entropy, temperature, and angular momentum are let's say torque and mass are option D. We may say weight and angular momentum. So which of the following pair is only vectors? Here shearing stress is a vector while entropy is a scalar. So this is incorrect. Temperature is a scalar and angular momentum is a vector. So it is also incorrect. Torque is a vector and mass is a scalar. So it is also incorrect. So here is weight and angular momentum, both are the vectors. Okay. Let's say which of the following contains scalar vector pair. Scalar and vector pair is, let's say, K weight and power, or we may say energy, power. Let's say option C. Option C is momentum, and force, or option D, let's say current, and current and let's say momentum. So which contains a scalar vector. It means first should be scalar, then should be vector. So wait, here the vector and power is scalar. This is vector scalar pair, not the scalar vector. Here scalar is given first, so there must be scalar first. So this is incorrect also. These are the both scalars, so this is also incorrect. Momentum and force, these are the vectors, so this is also incorrect. Here current is the scalar and momentum is the vector, so correct option is option D. Okay, so these are some MCQs related to scalars and vectors. Okay, so after that, addition of vectors. As we have discussed, vectors are added by their own methods and according to vector algebra. So there are two methods to add the vectors. One is geometric method of vector addition. Geometric method of vector addition, and other one is trigonometric method of vector addition. Second one is, let's say this is 1 and this is 2. Trigonometric method of vector addition. Geometric method of vector addition is the method in which laws of geometry are applied in addition of vectors, is known as geometric method of vector additions, while in trigonometric method of vector addition the laws of trigonometry are used. So that's why these are known as trigonometric method of vector addition. In geometric method of vector addition, we add our sub-rules. It can be divided into sub-rules. Let's say head to tail rule, head to tail rule method of vector addition, and second one is parallelogram law of vector addition. So these are the two types of geometric method of vector addition, but instead of saying two, it has much more types. What type of geometry the vectors give, we make that is that method of vector addition. Let's say if a vectors form triangle, then according to geometry, triangle is a shape, so that will be considered as a triangular method of vector addition, tetragonal method of vector addition, pentagonal law of vector addition, hexagonal, heptagonal, and polygonal law of vector addition. Okay, but we here will define only two: head to tail rule method of vector addition and parallelogram law of vector addition. So what is head to tail rule? head to tail rule, it is clear from the words okay, head of the first vector should be joined to the tail of the second vector is known as head to tail rule method. Let's say okay, if we have given two vectors, let's say this is A vector and this is B vector. If we have to add these both vectors according to head to tail rule method, then how we will add? We will add them both vectors in which head of the first vector is joined to the tail of the second. This is the B vector, let's say. This is the B vector and the tail of B is joined to the head of first vector. If the head of the first vector is joined to the tail of the second vector is known as head to tail rule method. After adding, we will get a resultant also. What is the resultant? Resultant we say which gives the resultant magnitude and resultant direction of the vectors that are added. This is known as resultant vector. So resultant vector for the resultant vector is started from the point from where first vector is started and it is ended up to the point where last vector is ended or terminated. So we will start from this resultant. This will be the resultant and this in this direction. It means that the resultant vector, for a resultant vector, the tail of the resultant vector is joined to the tail of the first vector and the head of the resultant vector will be joined to the head of the last vector. So this is the method how resultant vector is found. So this is the resultant vector denoted by R and this is the resultant of two vectors A and B. So this is a resultant. So what is resultant vector? R we say head to tail rule method. Head to tail rule method is the method of vector addition in which head of first vector is joined to tail of the second vector and head of the second vector is joined to the tail of the third vector if we have given more than two vectors, but we have given only two vectors. So head of the first vector is joined to the tail of the second vector. If we say okay, there are n vectors, so for the n vectors same principle will be applied and vice versa is known as head to tail rule method. In head to tail rule method, what is resultant vector? Resultant vector is a vector which shows combined effect of all vectors, all added vectors, which shows combined effect of all added vectors is known as resultant vector. It is denoted by R. Denoted by R, and it is started from the first from where the first vector is started and ended up to the where last vector is ended. So this is the resultant vector, and why we use the head to tail rule method. Okay, head to tail rule method gives both direction, resultant direction of the vectors that are added, and resultant magnitude also. So head to tail rule method of vector addition gives both resultant magnitude as well as resultant direction. Okay, so head to tail method gives both resultant magnitude also as well as resultant direction. Okay, let's say if we have given more than two vectors, let's say are in this method two vectors are given, so this is a triangle, so it is also known as triangular method of vector addition. Along with head to tail rule, it is also triangular method of vector addition. Okay, if we represent the resultant in this direction, let's say if we have given this A vector and this B vector, same A and B vectors are given. If we form the resultant vector, this is A and this is B. This is B vector. This is head of the first vector is joined to the tail of the second vector. If we form the resultant, the method of resultant is start from the first vector and ends up to the last vector. It means that this will be the resultant. This will be the direction of resultant. But what we are considering? We are considering that if we make the resultant not from this, we start the resultant but not from the this. If we start the resultant vector from this point and ends up to this point, then what will happen? Let's say once again these two vectors are added in this manner. According to head to tail root method, we make the resultant from this point, starting point, and ends up at this. This is the direction of arrow. But here, if we make the resultant in this direction, we have made here resultant in this direction, but here we are considering that if we make the resultant in this direction, then what will happen? Here let's see resultant is in this direction, so this is R. If resultant is in this direction, then it will be negative R, means it will be opposite direction. It will be in opposite direction to that of the first. And what will be its net result? Its net result will be 0. Why? Because of a vector that is started from this point and after some time it reaches at the same point also, so that's why its resultant will be 0. Because of if a body moves from a single point and after covering displacement r distance and comes back to that point, its resultant displacement will be 0 because of initial and final points are the same. So here also the same condition, because of initial and final points are same, so resultant will be 0. So the correct method for presentation of resultant is this. Okay, we have to start the resultant from the point from where first vector is started and ends up to the last vector where last vector is ended. But here this is a reverse method. This is the reverse. This is not correct for presentation the resultant vector. Okay, so correct method, let's say this is just a consideration. If we take a reverse direction, then what will happen? So this will happen, okay, resultant will be, this the addition will be 0. So correct representation, what is the correct representation is this. Okay, we have to make the resultant from the first vector, from where the first vector is started and ends up to the last vector, that is last vector is ended. So this is heterotutorial method of vector addition. Let's say if we have given more than 2 vectors, then how can we add the vectors? So far more than 2 vectors, let us see. Okay, so if we have given more than 2 vectors, let's say this is A vector, this is B vector, and again this is C vector. If these 3 vectors are given and we have to add them according to the heterotutorial method, then let's say this is A vector and this is B. The head of the first vector is joined to the tail of the second. So second is B, so tail will be in this manner. This will be the B vector, and the head of the second vector is joined to the tail of the third. If tail of the third vector is this, let's say this is C vector. But one thing more, okay, we take these vectors at anywhere on this board, but we have to take care, okay, magnitude and direction of these vectors will never change. If the magnitude or direction of these vectors have changed, then these vectors we are not considering with these vectors. Okay, so we have to take care that the magnitude and directions of vectors does not vary or does not change. So here we consider, okay, the magnitude and direction of these taken vectors is also same. So we have taken the heterotutorial method, in which head of the first vector is joined to the tail of the second, and head of the second vector is joined to the tail of the third vector. Then we have to make the resultant. Again, resultant is started from the first vector, which is started. Okay, so resultant will be started from this point, and we have to indent the resultant at this point where the last vector is ended. So this is the point, this will be the resultant, and the resultant will be A plus B plus C. This is the resultant of these 3 vectors. If we are considering more than 3 vectors, then how can we represent the resultant? Let's say this is A vector, this is B vector, and this is C, again this is D vector. If these 4 vectors are given and we have to make the resultant of these 4 vectors by adding the heterotutorial method. After adding heterotutorial method, then take the A vector, this is A and this is B. Head of the first vector is joined to the tail of the second, and head of the second vector is joined to the tail of the third vector. This is C and this is D. This is D vector. Then how we will make the resultant of these 4? The resultant will be started from the first vector, is started and ends up to the where last vector is ended. So this will be the resultant. This will be the resultant, and this will be A plus B plus C plus D. This is the resultant of these 4 vectors. If we have given more than 4 vectors, and then how we will make the resultant? Let's say this is A vector. I am making in a random manner. This is B vector. This is C vector. Okay, this is C vector. Let's say, okay, this is A vector, and again this is B vector which is joined head to tail. This is C vector, this is D, this is E vector, this is F vector, and this is G vector. Let's say this is H vector. If these vectors are joined head to tail method, and we are called find the resultant. What will be its resultant? Then the resultant is we will draw the resultant from the where first vector is started and ends up at where the last vector is ended. So this will be the resultant. Again, if we draw the resultant in this manner, if we start the resultant from the last vector which is ended up to the first vector which is started, then what will be the resultant? Then resultant will be 0, but because of, as we have defined earlier, initial and final points will be same. So that's why for a vector, if the initial and final points are same, then their resultant will be 0. Okay, but we are not dealing with that. We are dealing with the resultant, and resultant of these vectors will be this R. The method of making a resultant is starting from the first vector and ends up to the where last vector is ended. So this is geometric method of vector addition, in which head to tail method is described. Here this is trigonal method of vector addition. If there are four angles, let's say this, so this will be the tetragonal. If there are more angles, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so this will be the polygonal of vector addition. So this is all about the head to tail method of vector addition. In next lecture, we will discuss about the parallelogram law of vector addition.